Three.
We've got to contain some of this discussion online, man. Let me just take this.
Alright, so assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, guys. Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. Welcome to this video, guys. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Let me know if the sound is working. I just want to make sure that we're not having any sort of issues with sound. Sometimes what happens is we do have some problems. So today, alhamdulillah, we've got our wonderful guest, inshallah, brother Uthman from Hill Farm. Is it called Hill Farm's Finest?
It's Hill Farm Finest.
Hill Farm Finest, yeah. So Hill Farm Finest, I actually got some meat today, yeah, from Hill Farm Finest. So before I tell you about that meat and before I tell you about the dish that I had today and the tasty, mashallah, you can, I mean, without exaggeration, you can tell the difference between like your local butcher and between this meat. I'm not just saying that because I want Usman to send me some more. But this is, you can tell the difference, yeah. So alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So just let me know in the comments, guys, if the sound is working. And then inshallah we are going to start.
Yep, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. As Mufti Saab was saying, we're fortunate to have Brother Uthman with us. And I thought that it'd be, we thought last week when we were discussing this that it'd be really timely to have somebody to discuss the issue of Qurbani, because obviously Qurbani can be big, but I think it's more about the meat industry itself as well, and just having a discussion and an understanding of that. And as Muslims, mashallah, we have a significant number of, we make up like, what, 4 or 5% of the community, and mashallah, our meat consumption is so much. Mashallah, Brother Uthman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So, Brother Uthman, you run a business called Hill Farm Finest. Could you tell us a little bit about Hill Farm's Finest before we kind of like go into the Qurbani stuff and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Hill Farm Finest was born about 4 years ago with the prime objective of providing the Muslim community in the UK access to the very best meat in the UK, which is slaughtered in the correct manner, which is extremely important. But not only that, and set this up, so alhamdulillah, that's who we are.
MashaAllah, that's really nice. Yeah, so like my first interaction with Hill Farm Finest, but this is the part of show off Mufti Saab and say, yeah, man, I've been buying for a number of years from these guys now, but alhamdulillah. I think one of the things is that I'm for those that know me from this vlog and from my own kind of pace, I'm like a very big cooking enthusiast. Mufti Saab has had the pleasure of coming down once or twice, I think, to mine to eat. So am I just an enthusiast?
To be precise, twice, yeah. To be precise, twice.
Once or twice.
Once or twice.
Was it good? Is the question?
I think the better the food is, the more I think there's enthusiasm in making the food. Yeah, the better the meat, I think there's, and I'll definitely you're into your meats, and the number of so-called non-filtered images you put up on your social media. Yeah, so definitely.
I buy meat from all over the world, like literally Argentinian, Uruguayan, but I always come back to Hill Farm. And the reason I come back to Hill Farm is because there's just a difference in the lamb. The lamb is just completely different. I haven't had a beef steaks for a while, so I'm gonna probably put some of those in my order coming up soon. But that's why I always order. But the thing that always astonishes me, when it comes to this Qurbani time, is the size of the Muslim community and how much meat we eat. Uthman, what would you say is the state of halal food within the UK at the moment when it comes to meat?
As in the quality of meat?
I think just the quality of meat and how we as Muslims interact with meat as well in terms of like the quality, the process, the standard. So actually, if we take this from a Qurbani perspective, and we were to start with whole process of Qurbani for us. Describe the context that we're currently in when it comes to halal meat.
Well, generally, the halal meat market is notoriously known to be the cheaper market. So it's substandard, poor quality, that type of meat consumption, because we don't understand of what we eat. For us, it's a lamb is a lamb, it doesn't matter, and we pay whatever that price is. Whereas it's much more deeper and more important than that. There's a lamb which is born in spring. It then has its lifespan 3, 6, 9, 12 months. After 12 months, it turns into a hogget. A hogget is is more expensive than a lamb, but it's not found in the halal chain because of that expense. And then when it passes that second year, and that is very popular in the halal market, but that becomes cheaper. So that's why we have to understand, first of all, that notoriously we find halal meat in hospitals and schools and universities. And it's not because they are providing a service to the Muslims, it's because halal meat on the market is cheap. So it's more cost effective for the big institutions to pick up halal meat. So that's the first thing. When it comes to Qurbani, we currently have an issue whereby all the lambs in the UK, 95% of the breeds that we have in the UK, the animals are born in spring. So spring we've just passed 2-3 months ago. So all the animals now, all the lambs are typically from 3, 4, 5, 6 months old. So we are left with a situation where we have to make sure, first of all, from a Qurbani perspective, that the Sharia dictates that the animal should be at least 1 year old. And the visual recognition of that is 2 teeth, the front 2 teeth. If the animal has the front 2 teeth, it's old enough to be slaughtered from a religious perspective, i.e. Udhiyya, Qurbani, and if you're doing your aqiqahs. So the animal should be a year old.
So quick question, Uthman, teeth, they develop, kids, if you ever have kids, teeth come out at different, might be younger than a year old, but that has 2 teeth, and that's the check that you do.
No, typically the check is as per the hadith. The 2 teeth was the check, so that's what they checked. So if it was good for them, sallallahu then it was good for all of us. That the teeth to be looked at is the general condition of the animal. So the animal has to be completely healthy and well. So we can't have, in general slaughter, you can have an animal that might have a deficiency with the eye or the leg or an ear, but can still be slaughtered and eaten, as a halal product. But when it comes to religious slaughter, the animal has to be in perfect condition. Because it's a religious slaughter, a duty to Allah. So we can't cut a corner and get a cheaper animal because it's defective. We have to ensure that the animal is, perfectly in good condition. So these are for this Eid, we have to ensure that these are the 2 prime things. What we don't look at as a community is what's happened before that. So before the animals got to the slaughterhouse, where has it come from? How old is it? What has it been eating? All these things we don't know, and we don't care, and we don't question. These are the things that we need to ask and find out. It's important that what we are putting in our stomach, we know where it's coming from. These are basic etiquettes of any community, and especially Muslims, because we are told to eat halal and tayyib.
So what was your motive? I know from speaking to you that your motivation has always been about providing excellence and quality. Why did you think that was lacking, and are there any reasons that lacks? Is that due to our behavior, or why do you think that lacks?
It lacks because of ignorance. I believe it's total ignorance. I don't believe we as a community eat cheap because we just are cheap. I don't believe that. But what I do know that we don't know the difference. So if someone is going into a halal butcher on the high street, and a lamb is £3.50 a kilo, for example, any cut of lamb, a neck, for example, and then you go to another butcher, or take us, for example, and ours is double that price, the ordinary customer does not understand why. And that's the part that needs to be educated. That's my job. That's what Hill Farm Finance tries to do, not through selling my meat, but through educating the people through blogs, and when I'm doing stories on my Instagram posts, those things. When I'm showing the meat, showing the farm, showing the feed, showing the importance of the fat that we think is not good for us, why it's good, and we should eat meat, but we shouldn't be in excessive meat eaters. These are all things that I promote because I know that our Deen teaches us to be level-headed, middle ground, not excessive in anything. And we do eat meat excessively. But what we don't understand is that the meat that we're eating excessively is causing diseases in our communities because of what the animal has been fed and where it's been fed. And that's the important part for people to know now.
Okay. So, like, how often should we eat meat? Like, we know the the hadith. Musab, what would be the normal amount of meat that the Prophet would eat? Because you hear a lot of we should eat less meat and this and that. So what would you kind of suggest?
I mean,
that
if you kind of look at typical sort of like a Bedouin sort of society, an old village sort of like society, you're looking at something like even if it's like somewhere in this subcontinent, you're looking at maybe less than half a dozen times in a year, maybe. Right? It's not.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like probably like an average sort of thing. Maybe I don't know. But
Wow.
it kind of shows you the society at that time wasn't like they weren't producing animals. They weren't like farming animals to cater for everyone. It was just simply for a certain like group of people, or it was an occasion. So I think I don't know. I mean, today I think what Brother Usman is saying here is very very relevant with our society of overeating meat eaters. It's a bit difficult. I mean, like it's like the wheels already started turning, and how do you stop it? Like,
You stop it by a very simple thing: taking a look and understanding what we are eating, and that the diseases that are within our communities, they all start from the gut. All diseases start from the gut. So it's imperative that we start looking at ourselves and just understand what we are eating. Why do you think there's a huge trend in the country that we live in for organic stuff? Because they understand that the amount of chemicals that we've thrown in the past on our products are causing these diseases, and we have to, reduce the impact on society of that. And it's all about our eating. I remember hadith, the Prophet said that 2 morsels are enough to keep your back straight. 2 morsels means 2 spoonfuls of food. Enough to keep your back straight. Now, alhamdulillah, when we go for Hajj or we are at weddings, look at the amount we consume. Now, the consumption is all well and good. Okay, we are eaters, we eat. But look at what we eat. That's what we have to educate our children. They have to know the source of their food. Turn a product around when you go to a supermarket and look at the amount of chemicals in there. Which there's no need for us to have processed foods when we have places where we can go and buy fresh produce and cook our children fresh food. And then teach our children this. These are the important things that we've lacked and we've forgotten.
Sorry, Brother Usman, for cutting you there. So I mean, I understand what you're saying is it seems as though you've got some sort of like a personal a journey to reaching this conclusion. But it's like a majority of the Muslims, maybe a lot of them are not really practicing and don't really take these kind of things to be part of their religion. As in, they have an understanding, okay, my religion is basically me going for my Jummah, maybe going to the masjid now and again, giving my zakat. And then it's like, when it comes to food or the quality of food, people don't seem to see it as being something which is part of the faith. I mean, the quality of food, the quality. So one is the
all part as part of the faith, whereas the quality of it is like, as long as it's halal, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even generally, I think we've forgotten the purpose of why we eat. And we're not saying here stop eating. Everyone should eat. It's vital for our survival, energy, all that sort of stuff. But all I'm saying is here that we as Muslims need to look at when they go. Okay, I'll give you another example. You can go into a chicken shop and buy chickens for 99p. How is that even possible? We need to think about that. Where are these chickens coming from? How are they bred? Are they halal? When we are doing our slaughter for Qurban, And we are a completely unstunned house. So I'm very firm and very staunch that there's no stunning at all in anything that we do, not even close. Inshallah, that is one of my main standpoints, my principles, if you like. That as long as the UK government allows us in this country as a religious slaughter to slaughter the animals without stunning, I'm not stunning. But we have a situation where we either have to wait for our Qurbani to happen, or the slaughterhouses can say to us, "Oh, you know what? We can do it if you want it stunned, but not if it's unstunned." Why do we allow that as a Muslim community when we consume so much? Why can't we dictate the terms of the slaughterhouses to say we don't want unstunned meat, full stop? We just want it. We don't want stunned meat, full stop. When the word says halal, it's good enough for me and good enough. That's good enough. The problem's not mine anymore. The problem's the person who's selling it. I think it goes slightly beyond that. I understand that if a Muslim is saying it's halal, you take their word for it. All I'm saying is, know what you eat. When a person walks into Waitrose and buys the products there, they know exactly where it's come from. That's why they shop at Waitrose. That's why they pay that premium.
So, Usman, just on that point where you're saying that what things eat, right? So, like, what should an animal be fed? Like, say for instance, lamb or a cow. What should they be fed, and what are they being fed in the substandard market?
Well, everyone feeds differently. Everyone feeds different stuff. I can only speak for what we feed from, because I've only got experience from our farm. But our lambs are all grass-fed. Our cattle are all grass-fed. It's completely free range. Our cattle are also served a mixture of other, fruit and vegetables, bread, turnips, potatoes, carrots, a mixture of a healthy diet, and silage throughout the winter months. Silage is basically hay or grass collected in the summer months to be fed over the winter months. So throughout their life cycle, they're fed grass, and that is it. And food that you and I would eat, but in a better format. So all those vegetables I would eat at my table, and I'd have bread as well. So that's their diet, no different to ours. Vegetarians.
And so when people are like feeding them in other places, I know that you wouldn't like. I should be eating. Everybody has an assumption that that's what they're being fed everywhere.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If you say like, oh yeah, our lamb eats, our lambs eat grass, everybody's like, yeah, everybody's lambs eat grass.
Yeah, true say. It's a fact. Everyone's lambs do, but then it's the breeding process. It's the lineage. There's all these elements that take. How's the animal been brought up? What breed it comes from? How much fat does it have? Or what's the living surroundings? Are they all kept open? Are they free range? Do they roam? They might be eating grass, but is the grass all silage in a pen? And are they caged? So all these factors affect the animal's taste and the quality of it. Also, the age is a big factor. So in our community, we always say, "Oh, I want a baby lamb, baby lamb, baby lamb." We always want a baby lamb. You can't have a baby lamb all year round because the baby lambs are only born in spring. So and then let's say I want a spring lamb, but all lamb because they're born in spring. That's why the term comes spring lamb. The concept that we have when an animal is not a lamb anymore, it's not tasty or not tender, is incorrect. The hogget, which is when the animal passes 12 months, is the best quality. It's got 2 summers of grass. It's slightly bigger. Meat is juicier. Except there's lots of reasons why hogget is tastier, but the hoggets don't last on the market long. After one spring comes for the next year, they're taken up by all the supermarkets. They take them all up. So by now, they're all off the market. The only hoggets that are on the market are the ones that we've kept back for udhiyah, for slaughter. On the market, what you have are all mutton. And these are 2-3-year-old, ewes, as we call them, female lambs that are given birth year after year after year after year, and are now ready for slaughter to come into the halal chain. 90% of the product that's in our halal market are old ewes.
Wow. It shows you like how we're happy taking the bottom, the scraping the barrel.
Yeah, like I said, I don't believe it's because we are cheap. I don't believe that's the case. I really believe it's because we don't know.
Yeah, to be
Yes.
honest, like,
You know, sorry, just stopping at that. You know, like for example,
Hey Google, stop.
sorry, was that Azan?
That was the other one, yeah.
So yes, I was saying. So for example, like I mean, I've been to places where like maybe like a village, where the meat, like everyone knows where the meat comes from. They know like every stage of the animal's life, right? So it's like for example, you know, in the time, let's say the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, you had people who actually understood the status of that animal. They had like this sacred respect for it. So I had a friend from Ethiopia. So in Pakistan, when I was studying there, we used to for Baqra Eid, we used to kind of go around collect animal hides and give it to the madrasa, and they would use that for their you know, for their donations. So one of the things he told me that kind of stuck with me was that the animals that they actually in their country that they used to take care of, they used to actually start 6 months before. So they used to rear the animal. The whole family would have this connection with the animal, and then when the time of slaughtering came, it kind of became difficult for some of the family members to part with the animal, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like you don't just build like you're not just eating meat here. You understand that this is like a sacrifice that you've made. It's like, you know, the idea of sacrificing udhiyah, Ibrahim alayhi salam's sunnah. Now go you know, fast forward to today's times. It's like most of us have no idea of any stage of the process. As long as the animal's not stunned, and as long as it's got like maybe a certain particular, you know, organization stamp on there, right? We're happy to eat that meat, and you know, after that we don't even want to ask any questions. So I think maybe might be a suggestion. Maybe what might be a good idea is maybe something like Hill Farm or any other sort of like holistic sort of. I think maybe exposure. We need more exposure, more people to be educated in how animals are to be treated and how animals are brought up and the slaughtering process. And it's not just about slaughtering an animal. It's more about like, I mean, I don't want to say veganism. I don't want to say we want to push people towards veganism, but there needs to be a bridge in between. Yeah. So veganism and I don't know, is it what's the opposite of veganism?
Cannibalism.
Is it about more about just having a balanced diet and kind
Yeah,
of
that's what it is. You know, I remember when I used to visit Pakistan and we used to go to Lahore for our holidays. I remember on Tuesday and Wednesday they used to have meatless days, so you couldn't buy any meat in the shops. But it used to defeat the whole point because people on Monday would go and buy enough meat to last them for Tuesday and Wednesday. But the concept is a good one, you know, to have meatless days in your house. You know, don't eat meat in particular days. Or if you want to eat meat, don't have, you know, don't have 3 steaks. Have one. Have a smaller steak.
I think
You know,
I think the way that I would say Usman to people is that like the way that I've kind of squared it in my own mind is that I eat less meat, but I eat quality meat when I do eat it.
yeah, that's the most important thing you can do.
Is kind of balancing it up with then so that when you're actually eating meat, you know, I know I post about it and everybody thinks I eat like, you know, smoked ribs and smoked everything and barbecue everything, you know, every day or slow roasted.
The biggest comments we get, the biggest feedback we get is how come your meat cooks so quickly? How come we don't have to put masala on it and it doesn't smell? How come the steaks cook in 5 minutes? You know, all the people do not. These are they're shocked how their cooking times have halved by cooking the meat because it's, you know, the process that's gone through first of all, you know, pre-slaughter, and then the aging process, which enhances all of the flavor and the taste and you know, all that sort of stuff. So those are the biggest comments. You know, wives saying Jazakallah khair, I can cook my dinner in an hour less than what I used to be able to.
I don't need to shove the mutton in a pressure cooker.
Yeah, exactly that. Low heat and my food is done. You know, so you know, those things that just shows you, it just gives you an idea of what and then after cooking it for so long, you're chewing it for 2 days because it becomes so hard. So, you know, these are all things that, alhamdulillah, having better quality products enhances the whole experience.
So I have a question, right? as we're coming up to this Qurbani season, what is that like working on a farm in the UK in terms of like how does that actually look, and how do you actually get through that period? Because that must be a busy period, right?
Yeah, it's a very difficult period. Qurbani generally is very, very difficult because we as a people are very, very difficult. So everyone, all of us, so say for example, we are 4 million people in the UK. Say for example, I don't know, depending on the households that are doing Qurbani, 100, 200, 300,000 Qurbanis, a rough number, for example's sake. If that all of those people want the Qurbani on the first day, all of them. No one didn't want it on the first day. They want it to be slaughtered on the first day and then delivered to them so they can eat from it on the first day.
They
Now,
want to eat it on Eid day, right?
they want to eat it on Eid day. Now,
and someone just said, someone just said, and then digesting it for 2 weeks.
So then from our side, logistical point of view, the only element that's not in my control as a business, which is something that I want to change because it's something that controls what we want to do, and that shouldn't be the case because when you are doing something for the people, it should be done for the people, period. And there should be no compromise in that. No matter what happens, no matter what revenue you lose, you're doing it for the people, serve the people, Allah will look after you. End of. So the only element that's out of my control is the slaughter process. We can't slaughter on the farm. It has to be a licensed abattoir with a licensed slaughterman, with a vet present and all these other elements that the UK government stipulate at the time of slaughter. That process, so the abattoir dictates, okay, Hill Farm Finest, no, you can't come on the first day. You can only come on the second day and at this time. And you can only do this many animals. Okay, there's another abattoir that we can use. Okay, yeah, we can do it, but we'll do it on this day if you want it unstunned. But if you want it stunned, then I can do it on the first day. I don't want to come into your abattoir if you do unstunned and stunned. I want to stay away. I don't want any element of doubt in what my principle is. Even if I'm standing there, my customers can still say, well, don't they also do stun slaughter there? And I don't want that shub in anything. I want it to be clear so people know the process. So we have to come to an abattoir in Birmingham, where we always have our slaughters done for all year round for Hill Farm Finest. That's a very, very small abattoir with huge logistical problems.
That's a tiny abattoir.
Tiny abattoir with literally, I can guarantee you, there will be, all the animal rights people standing out there on Eid day and the day after, stopping trucks going and loading their livestock. So we've got that issue to deal with. Then we've got to get the slaughter done. We've got to then get it back to the farm. We've then got to start cutting up the meat, and that's a process because people, again, being a bit unreasonable. Can you please leave the chops with a bit of fat on, but have my leg with two keema? Can you do the shoulder like this? This is unreasonable.
I'm hiding my face at the moment, Uthman, whilst you're saying this.
This is unreasonable because if we have to process those orders, then we have to get them out. Now, the other problem we have is that, I stipulated, as per the agreement with the abattoir, these are problems that are important for the people to know because they don't understand the issues behind the scenes. So my abattoir said, okay, we will do your slaughter on the evening on the first day. I said to my customers, our slaughter is happening on the first day of Eid, which is now Friday. On the second day of Eid, the animals are coming back to us. So we'll start processing. On the third day of Eid, which is Sunday, you can start collecting from the farm, not knowing that Eid was on a Friday. So now our couriers, and we'll deliver on the fourth day, but the couriers don't pick up anything on a Sunday. So now the meat can't be delivered on the fourth day. It has to be delivered the earliest on the fifth day. But not only that, the abattoir has said that now we can't do you on the first day. We're going to do you on the second day. So these are all issues that we have to face, making sure that there's no problem at the slaughter, because when the customer has given me and trusted me with his Qurbani, that's an act of ibadah. And I have to ensure that that's done correctly. So
that that sounds quite tough in terms of like that logistical challenge of where things are out of your control, right?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. The two elements out of our control are obviously the slaughter the actual abattoir, and the second thing is our delivery process, which is through our couriers. If the courier messes up, which they do, the customer doesn't care. It's my fault no matter what happens. It's always my fault. So alhamdulillah, I try and be as reasonable as possible. One of my shaykh, one of the first things he taught me when I embarked on my first business many, many years ago is make sure you treat the people correctly. And that is something that has stayed with me because I cannot take the right of the people.
You know, we need 1,000 more like you, Brother Uthman, in this area, in this field. I think a lot of the biggest problem is ignorance to the whole concept of how all of this works, the logistics, and how people speak to their butchers. Is clearly a lot of the time what tends to happen is Muslims are just they kind of fall into the consumerism, they buy into capitalism, where it's all about, as long as you got the money and you can afford it, why not just get it? And I think
it's also that thing Mufti Sahib is that our understanding of like just even like a simple thing like a butcher, like we have people that cut meat. I don't think I would classify them as butchers, to be honest. I feel like they do some form of butchery, but and I'm not trying to be like a one of those, oh yeah, meat's got to be cut properly, but it's just like when you ask for simple things, they're not able to do it. And I think that like our guys I call them the 8-piece, was it 4-piece, 8-piece chuzawala. You go in and he goes, do you want 4-piece or do you want 8-piece? And that's the only two options you really have. I know you have some thoughts on that as well, Uthman.
No, that's really interesting. Butchery is a dying trade, so it's a problem we have. Tom, who is the main butcher at the farm, he is 30 years experience. So when I'm talking about a specific cut of meat, when a customer will call me and say, I'm trying to achieve this, we have lots of connoisseurs and chefs who come to us when they're cooking privately for individuals and they want specific cuts. Tom will tell me the actual intricacies of that muscle, why it has to be cut in a certain way, why it has to be cooked in a certain way, because the fat has to be broken down, in particular ways, otherwise it'll be chewy, etc. We don't know any of this. We haven't got a clue. Why is a ribeye, a soft steak? Why can't I cut a steak from the top side and eat it? Because they're two different cuts of meat. One is a working muscle and one is a muscle that does nothing. So one is tougher and one is softer. So these are all things that you learn. And our butchers don't have. If I walk into my local butcher and say I want a ribeye, he'll look at me and say, yeah, thank you. So
I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you two stories, right? One is about the sacrifice, which is quite funny. So once I was in Medina, right, and I was in Medina, and because we've been like feeding the homeless quite often. A couple of the homeless guys, project guys, were there. So a couple of the guys who deliver a homeless project in Birmingham went to Medina, and we thought, let's feed people meat and let's feed people food and let's get them some meat. So we said, okay, let's go to the abattoir. So we turned up to this abattoir, and obviously we're in Medina, we're in Saudi, we're in a different country, so we think the standards are going to be really low. So we walk into the abattoir, and there's this guy with a white jacket on. So I turned around to my friend, and in a sarcastic, jokey way, I turned around and go, "What's that guy doing here? Is he the vet or something?" And they went, "No, he is the vet. He's based here permanently." And I was really surprised at that whole process where they did the they did the zabiya, and then they hung the animal up. They checked the animal. He checked the internals of the animal. He checked, all of those elements before they did that, and then afterwards, it was amazing when I found that. I thought that was like really, really, really interesting to see that kind of standard outside of the UK. And the second thing that I saw that was really funny is that about 3.5 months ago, I think 3-4 months ago, my wife said to me, "Let's have some beef steak." And I said, "Look, I've got no steak left in the freezer." I said, "Let me drive around to a couple of the butchers locally and see if anybody's got any beef." So I went to 2 of the butchers, and they had nothing. So I went to the 3rd butcher, and I said to the guy, I said, "Look, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to have a beef steak. So what steaks have you got here?" He goes, "Brother, I got a really good one in the back." I said, "What cut is it?" He goes, "Brother, I can't remember what cut it is, right? But it's a really good piece." So I was like, you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. He wanted steak. I go, okay, give me a 1.5 to 2 inch piece. So he cut a 1.5 to 2 inch piece, and you know what he cut me, Usman? He cut me topside. I bought a thick piece of topside home, and I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm not going to be able to do this on this as a steak.
Yeah, you see, this is it, and this comes from just lack of knowledge. We are as a nation, we are lamb eaters. We're not really into our beef, but we're understanding beef more and more now. And
So I've got a question around beef, right? What is the thing with Aberdeen Angus? Like, why does everybody go crazy if it's why does anybody just like a normal dairy cow called Daisy with
known,
fell on the head?
it's known to be the finest tasting beef, the breed. It's just known historically for that, and plus the size of it and the marbling that you get within the meat. That's where the flavor is. So the marbling is all the fat that lies within the meat itself. And again, something we don't when we go to a butcher, we say take all the fat off, all the flavor of your animal, everything good about that is in its bones and in its fat. And we just discard the fat. We need to cook with the fat, not cook with the oil. Cook in whatever it is in it. And if you don't want to eat the fat, discard it when you're eating it. But we take all the fat off, and then we put vegetable oil, an artificial oil, into it and cook it. And that's the wrong thing.
I think there's people on here that are cringing and thinking to themselves, "Oh my God, this is something I do."
Yeah, I'm sure, because same thing happened in my household. It was very difficult for me. The first time I bought a steak back home 4 years ago, my wife said to me, "Should I wash it?" And I said to her, "It's been dry aged for 21 days to get all the water out, and you want to put all the water back in? This isn't haram. So don't wash the meat. No need to wash the meat."
What was Yahya's quote on those who wash?
Sacrilegious.
He said, "Us Gujis wash meat like it's a janaza."
Okay, that's what he said. Yeah, he said it's sacrilegious. Washing the meat is sacrilegious.
Yeah, I got some questions on Facebook, so I'll go through those quickly. First question was a brother who asked. He goes, "Any progress by brother Uthman on plans to venture into providing poultry? Unstunned, of course."
MashaAllah. Okay, poultry is something that we're looking into very hard. The lamb market is bad, the beef market is really bad, the poultry market is disgraceful. Halal poultry market is just in a different ballgame. So it's something I'm looking at very carefully. The important thing for me is to make sure that the animals meet all the criteria that meet our criteria for our livestock. And once we have a partner that matches that, then I might have something soon, but maybe 3 to 4 months away, inshallah.
Inshallah. And the next question was, might be a silly question. How would one go about learning butchery or butchering?
There's courses, and I can get them onto some courses. If the person lives anywhere near the Midlands area, there's courses that are run at Coventry, at the Ministry of Agriculture's head office, National Farmers of Union, the NFU head office is there. And there's butchery courses that happen there, and I can very happily help them to get onto that.
Okay, brilliant. And I've got.
Is there any Brother Usman, is there any contact details that you have of yourself I can put in the description?
Altaf has my mobile number.
Yep.
So feel free to use that, and also my email address. Altaf, do you have my mobile address? Do you have my email address?
I think I do. Yes.
If you know, I can give them to you now, and you can make a note of them.
Yeah. Just ping them to me now, and then I'll make a note of them, inshallah.
I'll send them to you now.
Yeah, I think this kind of stuff opened my eyes, because I mean I know when a lot of people ask me about the ethical side of how meat is farmed nowadays, and I hardly have an idea. I know one guy, he's a Maulana, and he's from Panama, so his family own like a business, slaughterhouse, not slaughterhouse, but they kind of slaughter animals. And he was just telling me about this whole concept of how much meat in a day they actually have to provide for the people, because there's such a big demand. And it's like, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you have to kind of educate the people at the same time, and you've got to kind of like, the prices as well. And then there's also this whole idea when we were talking to Yahya Haludi, we were
Yeah.
saying to him about the Muslim. I mean, not Muslim. I mean, like generally, you know, second generation Muslims have come to this country, don't really know about the whole idea of, you know, cooking. As in, for them, it's just the process of whatever they were used to cooking or their families were used to cooking back home. It's just like you import that over here and you just repeat it exactly parrot fashion. And this whole idea of what kind of meat to use and which meat to use where, and yeah, I mean, it's only like, for example, like recently when my wife, she makes some types of food sometimes, and she's asking me, oh, in the butchers, can you ask them for this and ask them for this? And I'm thinking to myself, when you go there and you don't know what you're talking about, the butcher doesn't know what he's talking about, yeah. So every time she's going to ask them specifically for this type of lamb, okay, and ask him for this part of the body, and I'm saying, look, on the wall they have a poster. It's usually in like yellow or green, very bright, and they've got written down, right, in, you know, marker.
Three cheese for £10, four cheese
And-
for £12.
And how unfortunate is it that the experience for our ordinary individual to walk into a normal halal butcher is appalling. Sisters refuse to go to the butchers because the butcher will look at her from top to bottom first and then say, yes, how can I help you? So sisters don't even go, and then they're going to give you your meat in a blue bag and you carry that home. That animal died for you. You know, a butcher contacted me in East London and said, we're very, very interested in your meat. Please, you know, we've heard so much, we want your lambs. We just want your lambs' carcasses. He was a normal butcher. So I went to the butcher and I looked at the butcher shop from outside. Wallahi, I drove away. I said to myself that my animals lived on that farm, lived such a beautiful life, got slaughtered for the Muslims in the best conditions. I can't have them end there in a shop looking like that. I just can't understand how we can walk into where we're going to eat into a shop which is really horrible. The person who's serving looks really horrible, you know, in regards to hygiene, not, you know, any physical way. The whole experience is appalling, and then they're going to come home and cook that. How can that meat be good? How can that whole experience? How can the women enjoy cooking? How can the brothers enjoy cooking? You know, cooking is,
I went to one butcher, right, and I was gonna I'd run out my of Hill Farm stuff right at home, so I was looking for a shoulder. So I went to my local butcher and I said to him, "Can I have a shoulder?" And he had like 3 shoulders in the freezer, and none of them had fat on them. So I said to him, "Can you go in the back, brother? Cut me a fresh piece off that carcass that you've got there, right?" And I said, "Don't take any of the fat off. Just give it to me." He goes, "ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਆ?" You stop him from. I was like,
are you mad? Are you mad?
he looked at me like I was like some really mad, and because I have the look of a Bengali, he thought I was some mad Bengali kid that walked into his shop asking him for meat, for fat on my shoulder. And I was like, "Brother," I was like, "please just give me some fat on there because I need something to work with." And he just looked at me like, "You know what, you kids nowadays don't know what on earth you're doing." And I was just like, I felt a bit sad walking out to some because I was judging me on everything I was doing.
Yeah, this is all education, and I've learned in the last 4 years. What I've learned from the farmer, from the butcher, you know, we are miles away. We haven't got a clue. When I go to Gulf Food in Dubai, this is what makes me angry. This is what makes me really, really angry. We have so much power, but we have none, because we have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten what a Muslim is. This is when I go to Gulf Food, I am with there in the Ministry of Agriculture in the UK have a stand. They invite a few people there from the UK to basically promote halal produce to the rest of the world. And because it's in Dubai, majority of the clientele are Middle Eastern. I go there as Hill Farm Finest, not necessarily to promote my meat, just to be there as a presence. A lot of the other companies that are there would buy their lambs from farms like ours, and in fact, some of the people who were there doing deals with local people were, you know, people who our customers who would come to Hill Farm Finance and say, "Can we have 1,000 lamb, please?" And they'll just take them. The Arabs would never come and sit with me. They'd only go and sit with the people who are non-Asian or Arab-looking white folk, because they're from the UK and they'll give us the best lamb. And I'm telling you, I hear the discussions and the conversations happening between them. Whatever they will tell the person who is trying to buy, he'll say, okay. And one guy came to me, he sat with me, and then he saw this other white guy, and he said to me, excuse me, I have to go there. So I let him go. I said, yeah, carry on, carry on. He sat there, I know exactly who he was meeting with, so I deal with that customer. And he finished the conversation, and he walked off. So I walked after him, I said, Assalamu alaikum, brother. So I said, you know, you sat with me. I just want to teach you a lesson here. You sat with me for 2 minutes, we said salam, and then you saw this guy and you went there. Whatever deal you've done with them, you've done. But do you realize that the lambs he's going to sell to you, he's going to buy from me? You know, and he goes, brother, I'll come direct to you. I said, wallahi, I don't want your business. And I came back and sat in the stand. But this is the state we are in. And the consumption that, and I went on the Argentinian stand, and I said, is to stand or unstand? And he goes, which one do you want? I go, which one are you selling? And they would basically say, well, we can give you a certificate for anything. Now, all these Arabs, Muslim world, forget the Arabs, Muslim world, who are buying meat, why don't we demand that it should be only like this? If that means you have to send us 1/3 of what we want, so be it. I can guarantee you the West will start constructing slaughterhouses to fulfill the demand. At the end of the day, they want the money. So if the Muslims say, we only want it unstunned, they'll start slaughtering them unstunned. But we don't. We say, just give us the chicken. Just give us the lamb. We want it now. As long as it says halal, we'll eat it. And this is the big problem we have. This is the biggest problem that we need to solve as a nation here in the UK. Forget anywhere else in the world. Here in the UK, we have to solve this problem of, you know, we have to slaughter mechanically because we have to meet the demand. No, you don't. You don't have to meet the demand. Once you say a chicken is going to cost you £15 because we're going to slaughter it properly, people will start having 2 chickens a week, not 10.
So,
But-
sorry there. You know, is there anyone else besides yourself? Is there anyone else not from amongst the non-Muslims who are quite particular about raising and you know, the way that meat is being consumed today?
There's lots of sisters who are active in this field. Lots of sisters educating sisters. Unfortunately, the brothers are motivated by money. I'm involved in 2 businesses. Not involved in the other businesses. I'm involved in halal meat, no doubt, that's it. But I go as a volunteer and I go for Hajj every year. And I tell you, they're the toughest 2 businesses because they're the most lucrative businesses, and greed is rife. People do not care about the benefit for the people. This is where we're losing. This is where we're getting crushed. We have forgotten the right of each other. Forget anything else. You have rights over me that I have to fulfill. When I came back from Hajj once, I was sat in the plane, literally sat in the plane, and I was with the Sheikh, and I said to the Sheikh, we're going to go back, and we're going to land in Heathrow, and the queue is going to be formed beautifully, and everyone's going to say, yes, sir, thank you, sir, good morning, how are you, etc., etc. And he goes, yeah, you're right, but the people you left behind have got more rights on you than those there. And that's what we've forgotten, because we think, you know what, he's a Muslim, okay, I can do him. We don't trust each other. We don't trust each other, and unfortunately, it's right not to, because we are conning each other. Because our vision is not, you know, the end point. The vision is what happens before we get to the end point. When we get to Akhirat, dekhi jayegi. Before that, we're going to enjoy ourselves, haven't we? And we've lost the focus. We've lost that focus that we have. The Muslim man, he has an abundance of people he has to deal with. When the Muslim man leaves in his house, he's got his family, his wife, his kids, his siblings, his parents, grandparents, rishtadar, family, neighbors, That's, I mean, in the house. You're in the house. When he walks out, community, masajid, friends, restaurant, people you deal with working wise. The man is dealing with people all the time, all the time. And the rights that we take from each other all the time, brother, I'll be back in 5 minutes and you're gone. I'll call you back in 10 minutes and I'm gone. These are the important things. Once we understand these important elements around each other, then we'll start looking at, okay, how we benefit ourselves as a community. But we need to look at left and right, help each other, be good to each other. Bottom line, Shakita UK, the Jewish lobby, you cannot do anything to them. You know, they have their licensed slaughtermen in their abattoirs have a 6-year course. 6-year course to be a licensed Shakita slaughterman. Oh. He sits in an individual room without anyone when he does that slaughter. It's like as a doctor doing an operation. You can become, in 3 months, you can go and start slaughtering in a halal slaughterhouse.
It's interesting that there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He says, when you slaughter, make sure that your slaughtering is done in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's teachings like this, which maybe in the past people would have taken to be part of the culture. Like they understood, like this is part of our culture to slaughter in a nice way, and But I think what's happened now is because the wealth of the Muslims has exploded, and they've just been able to eat things that even kings couldn't eat in the past.
Yeah.
This whole concept of like re-understanding what the Prophet ﷺ was saying behind his words. I think that is something that needs to be visited again, because we know fiqh, for example, like the Mufti will tell you, right, this is the question, this is the answer, and on your way, right? But it's like now with this whole idea of the globalization of everything, right? You're having slaughterhouses in South America providing meat to another part of the world, and what's all the logistics behind that, and slaughtering, how many animals are being slaughtered, and how many of those animals are being slaughtered in a halal way, and then how many are going through and reaching the person in a healthy way, wholesome, like tayyib, in a tayyib manner. So I think for me, for example, what I've learned from Brother Uthman today, I think one of the biggest things I've learned is the sheer ignorance, the mass ignorance that we're kind of living in at the moment, where like personally, I don't know where to start from. Like if I was to talk, okay, tomorrow, let's start some sort of a movement. Like where do we start from? I think that's something that I need to look into. And at the same time, I think there needs to be this sort of like people need to become more conscious about not just what they eat, but also about like weddings, for example. Like there's so much money being spent on weddings, and there's this pressure on people that they have to provide a certain 3-course meal. And like, a lot of weddings that I go to, for example, no offense to anyone's wedding I've been to recently, but if you're listening, then then you're listening. It's like you know exactly what to expect in the starter. It's going to be this cold, reheated
microwave shish kebab.
Yeah, microwave shish kebab, microwaved, a piece of chicken. And I've got a brother-in-law who's a butcher, and he reminds me of Uthman, because the guy's always complaining about people are not asking for the right meat. He's saying to me, he stopped slaughtering animals for Eid. He goes, I quit. He goes, because people simply just want a quick animal, right? They don't understand the whole process that I have to go through and my workers have to go through. And he says, do not ever eat the chicken in weddings. He goes, the guys come to me and they say to me, what's your cheapest chicken you got? And I go, what do you need it for? He goes, for wedding. And he goes, a lot of these catering places, no offense, no, not all of them, but he's saying to me, a lot of these places, he said they would be willing to pay pennies to get the cheapest thing because they know they can put enough masalas on there and hide the smells, right? But you can hide the smells, but who's going to hide you going to toilet the next day?
It's all driven by cash, you see. It's all driven by money. That's why. It's all driven. This is the problem. It's not about that I'm doing this as an ibadah. I'm doing this as a benefit. Even when we cook, cooking is done with love. It's an act of worship, because we're cooking in Ramadan when we haven't eaten. When you're praying your asr in the middle of the day and it's hot outside, you're hungry. And when you get that food, so food is really to enable us to do ibadah properly. So when you're cooking it, it's that process of thinking it. Why we, the purpose of eating. So it's.
Actually, that point, I like that point, because I remember my teachers, they used to say, when we were in Pakistan studying, they used to say to us, look, if do not eat outside except as a last resort. They say the food that's cooked outside, even though it might be halal, they said that the process that it goes through, where you got this guy who's who cooks it, and you don't know if the guy prays salat, you don't know, forget washing his hands, you don't know, for example, his intention, like Uthman was saying about the money driven. It's like a lot of that, and he says that will definitely have an impact on the food that's prepared, as in spiritually, it's going to have an effect on a person. So, like Uthman is so passionate about, mashallah, about how he rears the meat and the animal, and how much love he shows it, and I mean, for those who just listening, the first time I've actually ordered or my wife ordered Hill Farm finest meat, and
we didn't.
Actually, guess what happened?
I'm probably going to think this is a thing, Bob.
Let me tell you what happened. I'm not being sponsored here. I'm not being sponsored. I'm unbiased, totally unbiased here. So let me tell you what happened.
We don't sponsor anyone, by the way. We don't sponsor anyone.
So
just cut him off now. Then
that's it, man. That's it.
No, go on. But I'd like to know, brother.
So basically, what happened was we made the order on Monday, and it said your order's coming on Tuesday between 9:30 and 10:30. So my wife says to me, right, I'm going out. There's gonna be this guy is gonna come with a parcel, and you have to sign it off him or something. I don't know. I go, okay, and she sent me the link, and you can track it, with that DPD tracking. Yeah. So I'm tracking it. It says the guy's in Perry Bar, that's close to where I live, and he goes, he's on this street, and I'm thinking, okay, he'll be here in 5 minutes. A whole day goes by, the guy doesn't turn up. Then I said to my wife, I go, look, the guy hasn't turned up. And this week we're gonna have a podcast with. It doesn't look good. What happened basically was the order was supposed to come on Thursday, and it was a mistake that was made by the delivery company. They gave it like a wrong. So, but anyway, the food came today. The meat came today, and it was prepared. And without a doubt, I'm telling you, it's like normally when you kind of like eat some dish that's been made, you can like even before you put it near your mouth, you can have this smell of some like fat or something, or you can smell something which doesn't really kind of smell right.
Yeah,
didn't have any of that. The chewiness, there was no chewiness in there. It was just like kind of like just biting away, and it was just like dissolving.
Did you have was it lamb or beef?
Angus beef, yeah.
You had Angus. Did you have? Was it a steak that you had?
No, it wasn't steak.
So you had like a what
small
did you?
Pieces, small pieces cut up.
So you had like a curry.
Yeah, curry.
Nice.
Yeah, and without like exaggeration, it was a very enjoyable meal. Like very few meals like that.
I don't think I've had an Angus curry, Mufti Saab, man. You're on some next level. You are.
Allahu Akbar. Yeah, Wallah. So my suggestion would be to people, is maybe start this. Yeah, you all can be part of this sort of like revolution. Revolution from slaughterhouses to kind of becoming more health or meat conscious. Is prepare a dish for your family and make them taste it, and then speak to them about meat. Like speak to your kids about meat, see what they have to say, and create this sort of like kind of like you don't have to Islamize everything, but just become like more in tune with your society, in your nature of life, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And I think a lot of people would actually see more spirituality in the food that they eat. Seriously, without a joke. I think a lot of spirituality is because of food. Like they say, you are what you eat. And, you can listen to all the bayans of all the best sheikhs in the world. But if you're eating doner kebabs, and if you're eating, all these kind of foods, Iman, it's not going to really have a very big impact on the Iman, on the faith. And if you're eating healthy, like, the ayah in the Quran that Allah says to the prophets even, imagine that. Yeah, Allah says to them, Ya ayyuha rusul, kulu min tayyibat, eat from the pure, wa'amalu salihan, and do good. Like it's like the good actions come after eating from the pureness. Like Allah was saying to the prophets, do this. I think
I might have a surprise guest joining us in a few minutes, inshallah. I've had somebody's just WhatsApp me in the background, so let's see if he joins in the next few minutes, inshallah. No, but I totally.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's on YouTube. Bring him on.
He is now also on this podcast. Assalamu alaikum, Yahya. He's connecting to the audio at the moment, man.
Allah.
Here he is. Salams Yahya. He's on mute now. He'll figure it out shortly. I'm sure he will, because he's currently on holiday, so he's probably
He's more tech savvy than I am, so he'll be on it soon.
yeah. Alhamdulillah. Oh, here he is.
Oh.
Assalamu alaikum, Yahya.
Allah.
Take that top off, Yahya. I can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa
Alaikum
assalam.
Salam.
I don't believe you lot had this conversation going on and you didn't even invite me on. Mufti Sahab, sharam ki baat hai yaar. Uthman, jigri dost, is here. I just went on Facebook and I saw the Muslims of Birmingham, and I thought, ye to Uthman lag raha hai. I can hear his voice. I can hear the, what in the background. I can hear, what this ghost ka asar hai. You understand me? Yeah. Yeah, I go, Uthman, is that you? And then because on Facebook it shows two of you, and I thought, yeah. And then I heard, and then I went to YouTube, and on the YouTube you can see Uthman Rowe. Yeah,
Usman's not showing his video. That's why, isn't it? Because he does.
Uthman,
Sorry, how you doing, Yahya? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, alhamdulillah. Yeah, look, I'm dressed for the occasion as well, yeah?
MashaAllah. I was watching it when Ataf interrupted me earlier.
Acha. Guess out.
Alhamdulillah. All good, man. Nice to see you, Akhi. Nice to see you.
How's your holiday, Yahya?
Brilliant, man. You see, what we did was that we bought a whole lot of food, etc. with us. Let me see if I can turn my camera around.
Oh, so those pictures you've been putting up is actually from abroad?
No, it's from Devon here, UK, man.
Ah.
So
Is staycation?
So we hired out a 25 sleeper staycation this year because we didn't know we were going to go abroad, etc. So we put this on. We looked at it just before the lockdown. Kind of, it hasn't come to an end, but it was relaxed. And alhamdulillah, got two major families, one from here, one from Preston, one from Lancashire, and we met up in Devon. Oh man, beautiful weather, man, beautiful. The sea we swam in, you'll think it's in a different country. Wallah, amazing, Allah's qudrat, man. No waves and amazing. You'll see those pictures in the coming days, inshallah. But beautiful, man.
All the way to Devon with a cooler box, and you dumped your sous vide in there, and you started making jerk chicken whilst you're on holiday.
But you know what? Yeah. And I put the jerk chicken in London, sous vide it,
Yeah.
and then we unfroze it, and then we did a barbecue here. But as you see how alhamdulillah, whole family eats. 25 of us feeding them on one barbecue, in a small barbecue. I'm thinking my normal big huge barbecue, but alhamdulillah, it was good. But you know what? It's been amazing. We pray namaz in Jamaat here. We've made big masala. Some of these people, it's the first time they actually see Muslims. I really don't feel that bad because they were in the car, but now because they've been covering their faces, it's normal. Mashallah, the local residents are very, very, very happy to see us. And I don't know, maybe post-COVID they want something, but good. Alhamdulillah.
So we've had Brother Uthman on today's show, mashallah, discussing the meat industry within the UK. Him explaining to us about the education when it comes to meat as well, mashallah. So it's been really, really helpful. We've had quite a few questions on Facebook and on YouTube as well, mashallah, in and around kind of like how that looks. And I thought it's very timely for Qurbani time as well. What are your thoughts about educating the community?
Absolutely. We've had some classic conversations like the one we had in Ramadan about the quality of our meat. We should eat less, but eat higher quality. So that's why in our household, the only beef we have is Hilfan Finest. Okay. Now people say, it's a little bit expensive, etc. But you pay for that quality. You see the difference. My children can't eat beef. They won't eat a steak anywhere outside our own house. Okay. And also
I live. Yeah. If I lived in your house, I would eat a steak from anywhere else as well.
Yeah, but that's it. But the thing was, is it okay? Even our curries, you know, I've made a curry today. Even our curries are all made from Hill Farm beef or lamb. Yeah, it's just mostly beef. You know, alhamdulillah. You know, we maybe red meat once a week, if that, but then make it good quality red meat. Yeah, and you know, and then educating about, you know, how many times I get people asking me, you know, do I have to wash the meat? Do I have to wash the meat? You know, what do I wash out the blood?
Go on,
It's not blood.
go on, say.
Say the line. We want the line, man.
You lot need to educate your people out there. You know, gosh, you know, you don't need to wash it. Yeah, you know, it's not like we're doing meat ka ghusl, you know, you know, to make sure you wash it off properly. Yeah, no, you don't. There's no need. Okay, you know, Uthman tells me, yeah, they take minimum 28 days or 21 days to dry age their meat, and then all of a sudden, Amari, you know, mashallah, blood conscious, desi aunties, yeah, wash it, let's go wash it. Yeah, some people go as bad as they actually boil the meat and then they cook it. Yeah, they take the dirt out. Yeah, you are what you eat. Yes, but the meat's not dirty. It's just, I think it's our mentality in it, and you know, washing out with flavor and stuff like that. But going back to quality, eat less quality. Today, meat has become an everyday item, and because meat has become an everyday item, we just overconsume. And you might think that's weird coming from me. All you see on my profile is me, but I don't post every single thing. Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays, we have 2 or 3 veg week, full veg in our thing. I know Uthman doesn't eat dal, yeah, you know, but what do you call it? We have dal, we have veggies the whole week. And I would say that you appreciate the meat more when you have the vegetables as well with it. You know, and then you know,
I've got a question for you, Yahya.
Go on.
Whenever someone comes down your house, do you ever have this discussion about meat?
All the time. Not even in the house, even in the masjid, I have this conversation. First time, people actually turn around and telling me, you say, when I first started the blog, there was no Hill Farm Finance, yeah? And for me to get good quality meat was very, very difficult, okay? And people asked me, where do I get it? And I had to go out to the farms and look for one particular person and the next person. And it was okay, it wasn't the best quality. Any of the stuff that's in the normal halal butchers wasn't good enough, right? So when I started my blog, a lot of people were saying, oh man, you're doing a woman's job. Yeah, you know, I bet your wife's happy. My wife hates that comment. Yeah, because you automatically assume, yeah, your wife's lucky. You know, and she thinks, well, what do you mean I'm lucky? What, you think I'm lazy or something? Yeah, you know, she actually hates it. She gets that from everybody in our area. Yeah, everybody in the area. After what question is nasib hai? You know, I've you know, Khavin is mashallah. You know, he cooks all the time. No, I don't cook, but I do cook. I don't cook all the time. There's no misconception. There's nothing in today's mom's cooking. Oh wow, dad's cooking today. It's nothing like that. I think our dad's going that way as well, mashallah. Yeah. The thing with it is that when I first started it, people in the masjid were complaining to me. My wife says that I should become more like you.
I get that all the time.
Why? Because you cook, you clean, you're making my job hard for me. Now, 3 or 4 years down the line, they're asking me in the masjid, where can I get this steak from? What steak should I get? Should I get a ribeye or should I think? And do I have to cook it medium rare? Is it not bloody? You know, that sort of stuff. You know, all that sort of stuff I get asked now. And yeah,
So you're the mufti. You're the mufti of meat.
Right, definitely.
I don't know about the mufti of meat. Meat shake in it.
Okay, so what would you advise? What would you advise, like the viewers at the moment? What would you advise them if they're really serious about? Okay, now they want to become a bit more conscious about the meat that they eat. What kind of steps would you tell them to take in trying to change?
So the first thing I would say is that try to limit the everyday meat you eat. But when you do eat meat, eat high welfare healthy, like Hill Farm Finance. Yeah? Sadly, that same thing doesn't exist for chicken. And especially in the Gujarati community, I don't know how it is in other places. chicken is an everyday item. So even in your vegetables, you find chicken. I remember years ago, 20 years ago, even in our vegetable samosas, we used to have chicken in them. I don't know if you had the same. But the thing was that it was chicken in everything. Now, the problem is chicken is the biggest problem because most of our chicken is factory farm. Okay. And that's a big issue. Okay, because you talk about welfare, factory farming is the worst. When a chicken is kept in a very small space, in a cage, it can't roam around free. It's got other cages on top of it. Okay, it's given all the food. So in 6 weeks, you will get from birth to ready for slaughter, what we count as a tandoori / baby chicken. Yeah, 6 weeks. That growth is normally in 6 months. But because of our overconsumption, especially the Muslims, there was a stat out that I don't know, 60% of all the chicken was eaten by like 15% of the Muslims or something like that. I don't know, 10% of Muslims or something like that. So 3% of Muslims. Something ridiculous that we have so much chicken. Okay.
So you don't eat chicken?
I do eat chicken. Sadly, I can't get away with that. I try to eat. I'm trying to talk to these people about organic or at least free range. Okay. The problem with organic is that you can't be organic if you stun and then slaughter.
Well, sorry,
so you can't be non.
What's the definition of organic? When does something become organic?
So organic is its feed must be organic. It can't have any artificial feeds. It can't have any GM feed. Because some people they give it like these energy pellets, and these energy pellets that make them grow very big in a very short time. That's not natural feed. So it's not seed and that. So in terms of the actual thing is that it needs to be free range, as in it can't be stuck in a cage and just eat. So it just builds muscle mass. It has to be going around. And one of the requirements for organic, there's a few organic requirements, but one of the key ones is that it has to be stunned prior to slaughter. Now, as Muslims, you lot are the muftis, yeah? I don't know exactly what the fatwa, etc. is, but people, especially in the UK, don't like stunning, okay? Because there's a very minuscule chance of the actual chicken dying. And that's what the whole HMC process, etc. is. I'm not going to go into whether HMC is right or wrong. That's not for me to say. But you cannot get official organic chicken which is stunned. Yeah? You might have people saying it's organic, but it's not truly organic because one of the requirements says you have to stun before slaughter. Yeah?
So that's the thing that I struggle with, and I get like I get 1 or 2 questions a week around chicken, right? From friends and family as well, where they're asking me, where's the best place to buy chicken from? Where's the best place to buy chicken from? And my answer at the moment is that there isn't actually a place that you can go and sustainably buy chicken, because even the place that there was available, there was one in Oxford, Willowbrook Farm, a famous farm that people normally buy.
Just recently said no, innit?
Yeah, they've recently said that we're only going to supply members now, like on a regular basis. So you can have a membership, and we'll send you a box every month. But nobody really has that part of it nailed down.
I don't know. Uthman might be the right person to talk, because I do know that he was in conversations with certain suppliers. Because you see what it is that our lot are very difficult to in terms of it. Because if you're used to buying a chicken for $2.50, yeah. If you buy that same chicken for 10 quid, it's not an easy thing. You're paying 4 times as much, yeah? And then, I look, to do a lot of things. Yeah, it wasn't very big, it was very small, blah, 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 because chicken is difficult because it's such a small thing, So for example, when we have a barbecue, one member of my family can eat a whole chicken easily, yeah? If it's just roasted or barbecued, yeah, 2 legs you eat like that, yeah? And all you got left is the breast and the wing. It's like you can eat that in no time. So to think about that, the whole chicken has to be, if it's organic, it has to be 6 months before slaughter, feeding it, and then it's looked after, and then it's in for slaughter, then it's it's packaged, somebody slaughters it, somebody packages it, somebody sends it to the butchers. That process costs a lot of money. £10 a chicken, it's hard even for people like me. I find that hard. there's not many people out there. I know my friends at the Great Chase, they find it very difficult. They actually went, they used to have all HMC stuff, but they got to a point, with COVID and they could not find the supplier that was willing to supply them. They want to be HMC or whatever, yeah, free range at least, yeah, but they couldn't find a supplier because there is no demand for it. And the only way we can make a demand is if we ourselves, as a consumer, we demand that. No, you know what? I'm going to buy that £2.50 chicken. I'm not going to buy the £5 or £10 chicken. Yeah, I'm going to eat chicken like meat once a week because you are breaking a habit of a lifetime. You are breaking the habit of life. That's what people. I am eating chicken every day. I have chicken every day. I need my protein. Yeah, chicken breast. Yeah, pump 9, whatever. We can't. It's very difficult. I don't know, Uthman. Do you want to say something about that? Do you have some talks with people, or is he still there? Or is he
Yeah. I'm still here. Yeah. I'm listening to you attentively as always, my brother. Yeah, we spoke about chicken briefly. I mentioned that it is something I'm looking into, but the complications and the turmoil in the market with regards to the demand of it. As you know, I spoke with someone recently regarding this, and I can't partner up because ethos does not match, and these are things that are highly valuable to me. So, with all the customer base that we have now, the most important thing about that customer base is that they trust me. So I have to make sure that if I get the right chicken supplier, my trust is not misused. But moreover, the issues that you raised earlier regarding the from a chicken perspective, how difficult it is from a consumer point of view. The chicken is small. This is bruised. That's not right. Till we understand those difficulties, because even at Hill Farm Finest, we get a lot of complaints which are unreasonable and invalid. Because people expect beyond what is reasonable. Chicken is more delicate like that, especially if you look at the restaurant game. The restaurant will not be interested in a chicken being bruised, and if it's unstunned, it's going to be bruised. So unstunned product going into the mainstream kitchen is going to be slim. But I have a whole issue with the stun and unstunned market. As you know, I think the whole market does go one way, and whatever the repercussions of that is, that means we eat a third less all over, then so be it. But we need to eliminate this, ambiguity. Is this stunned or unstunned, or is this mechanical slaughter, or is this machine slaughtered? Was the tape playing in the background? Is that halal? Is that not halal? We need to remove all of this first.
What's that tape playing in the background? What's that?
Well, in a lot of chicken abattoirs are mechanical slaughters.
Okay.
A lot of halal chicken abattoirs, especially the ones that are not in the UK but are in Europe, and a lot of the chicken that comes into the UK, I would say maybe 60% of it comes from Europe. Pretty much all machine slaughtered with a tape saying Bismillah Allahu Akbar in the background.
I thought you meant with a tape in the background, like one of the nasheeds.
Yeah, well, you never know.
It's from the shadows.
From the shadows.
For me, these are the important issues that need to be addressed first before we even go into the other elements. Of educating the people. We need to have a voice so we can get things done the way we want them done, not the way they're dictated to us. Like I said, Shakita UK, which is a tiny lobby, but controls everything because they have principles.
I think the thing that when we're talking about kind of chicken and looking at where you get chicken from, it is such a difficult thing to do within the UK. It is really, really tough to get good quality chicken. I kind of like narrowed it down to like 3 farms where you probably can get chicken from, like 2 or 3 farms only. And then I was looking in France, maybe because I was looking for a certain type of chicken in it that I'd seen one of my friends cook up north. But it's so difficult to get good chicken. So even when people ask me, I just don't have an answer for them. I can kind of like direct them to Willowbrook and other places, but there genuinely isn't that answer there at the moment. And if anybody does know, like any of the viewers that are viewing this know a place, then do let us know. Because it's important that we share good places as well. Like we're sharing Brother Uthman's place in Hill Farm. Because we know him, we understand the care and the love that goes into the animal, the care and the love that goes into actually the process as well. And likewise, so if there is somebody who knows something, then
Is there any
do
sort
share
of like
it.
forum out there if anyone's interested in collaborating with others on this kind of issue? Do you guys know any forum or any? I mean, that might be.
I know a few WhatsApp groups. Yeah.
No comment. Lamb tomahawks, bro.
Usman, your lamb tomahawks have got Mr. Haludi into a lot of beef.
You know what? The lamb tomahawks, Mr. Harudi Foodie's lamb tomahawks, have got me into a lot of beef. not only from a customer point of view, from a butchery perspective. You've got these lamb tomahawks on the week before Eid. Are you mad? So we only launched a very few amount, a small amount, because Yahya put the story up, and absolutely he has the right to do whatever he wishes to do. He put this story up of these amazing tomahawks. So we put a limited amount. Those limited amount, and I'm telling you, there was a small amount. It wasn't a big quantity. My butcher called me in the evening today and said those 10 kg of lamb tomahawks took us 4 hours to do.
Ooh.
He goes, don't you dare put them on before Eid again.
So for the benefit of our viewers, right? So this is what lamb chops look, a rack of lamb will look like, or lamb ribs will look like when you get them from the shops. Yep. Can you see that's a whole rack of lamb ribs, lamb chops, together. So what Usman's talking about is you're making them like that.
Oh.
So the lamb chops, but they're Frenched, which means the top of them is completely clean to the bone. And I've done this. Like I sat in my kitchen trying to French a whole rack, and it's a long process. So, mashallah. And the reason why we're teasing Mr. Haludi about this, and I won't go into too much of it, but just is the fact that when we're talking about a lamb tomahawk, what we're really talking about is a lamb chop, but with the bone that's extended that comes out, so it looks much nicer on the plate. So you can imagine, so the lamb chop normally has a little bit of a bone on top, and this is with an extended piece of the bone on top, and it looks much nicer. I really like them, and I can appreciate the amount of labor that goes into getting them. So I think it's really good. But a lamb tomahawk, Mufti Saab, is one of those things that is Mr. Haludi over here is innovating, as they say.
Toba,
Dalala, yes? And every dalala will go on the barbecue. No.
So I think he's been getting a bit of grief for that. And I think Usman's been getting like 9 million questions in what's the difference between this and a normal lamb chop?
Okay, actually, so I have a question. So for Brother Usman, so if, for instance, like let's say someone like Yahya or someone else who you supply meat to, for example, put something up and then it gains quite a lot of popularity, would you be able to? I mean, I know your principle is that you want to decrease 1/3 of the consumption, but how would you deal with that then? If there was a large sort of order that was placed.
Well, for us, we never have an issue with the supply because we are the supply chain, alhamdulillah. So for us, we can slaughter as many animals as are needed. But what we don't do is we don't stretch ourselves. We are still a small business, a still small growing business. So something which is a problem in our trade, if you like, is a term known as balancing of the carcass. So if you imagine a carcass of a lamb, the most popular pieces of that, the most popular pieces of a lamb will be the leg, the shoulder, and the chops. You know, people like some mince, and that's about it. So the neck and the ribs, these are not popular cuts. These will always be staying behind. What we can't do as a business is slaughter 1,000 lambs and then have all those bits lying around. So we have to ensure that the way we grow as a business, we're balancing the carcass, and most of the carcass is being used up in something. And that's how we deal with it. But as long as we are to cater for the demand is not a problem. Plus we also have a size issue. So we have a chiller on the farm, we have our own butchery on the farm, and that is limited to space. So we can only slaughter a limited amount, even though we might have 2,500 cattle on the farm. We still can only slaughter a certain amount per week because of the space. But we are addressing all those issues. So for us, it's never a matter of we can't do it. It's just a matter of taking time and plan it properly. What we like to do is we like to plan things properly. We're a professional outfit. We are we're not from a butcher experience, but what we are from a corporate background, providing a high quality product to the Muslims online, direct to their door. So we're changing the way they buy their meat, but at the same time, we're enhancing that whole experience, not only in purchasing, but making sure that when they cook it, that's where the wow factor is, because at the end of the day, it's all about the taste.
And one thing I liked was when it comes wrapped in that wool.
Yeah, the wool is a very good insulator. The wool with the right amount of ice packs keeps that cool for 72 hours.
Ooh.
Wow.
So, but all our deliveries are overnight. So once our couriers pick up, typically between 4 and 5 in the afternoon, and then the next day, before most of our deliveries are there before 2-3 o'clock every day.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. No, I think that's really important. I think the thing about kind of the meat and one of the reasons why we wanted to push this podcast out. So if we just move back to the reason why we want to push this podcast out is because there'll be a lot of people that will be buying meat in the next few days, in the next few weeks, in the next 2 weeks, sorry, especially within the UK when it comes to Qurbani. Take that time out, really research where you're getting your meat from, try to understand, the quality that you're getting as well, and be patient as well with the process. Because I think that was one of the things that we heard in this is that, there'll be lots of slaughterhouses that are doing their best, working their hardest to try to get you your meat. But, I know we live in Amazon Prime world, but, lamb doesn't work like that.
No, not just that people have to also realize we're working in, difficult times with social distancing. So abattoirs haven't got the full amount of staff. These are also issues. So there's transport issues, logistical issues. There's so many complications that occur that people just don't realize. There's a big impact. And although, like I said, we are the supply chain, even that one element that is out of our control can delay us for weeks. In the beginning, when COVID happened and the abattoirs closed down, our demand had risen, but we couldn't get anything slaughtered. So, these are the, we all need to realize in all our daily lives, whatever we do, there's a process that takes place. In our daily lives, there's a process that we follow. Things just don't happen. It's the same thing in the meat business, and in this what we do, and especially with what we do, because the animal has to be a certain age before it's slaughtered. It has to have the right, the feed all that time, the right type of marbling. It then has to get slaughtered. It then has to get aged. It then, on the day of your order, when it's going to be dispatched, that is the day that it's prepped. After it's prepped by the butcher, it then has to be packed. After it's packed, it's then labeled. After it's labeled, it's put into a box. Then it's sealed with the wool and the ice packs. And then it goes to DPD. So that process all happens in one day.
Oh, wow. How many Qurbanis are you doing this year, Uthman, just as a side point?
Not many, Akhi. We only allocated about 100. And we're quite under that. So we're about 60, I think. We're going to be about 60.
Okay. So can people still purchase their Qurbanis if they wanted to?
We've officially closed that. But if anyone is interested, let them know. Let them contact me. And I will see what I can do, inshallah.
Brilliant. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. I'm actually trying to run through some of my meat this week because I need to get some out of the freezer. So
you can always invite us.
Yeah, do you know what it is? That I've got like some of the. So I've cooked all the best pieces that I had. Not the best pieces, but like I'm balancing the carcass in my freezer at the moment. So
Yeah.
I've got the kaleji left, and I've got some of the other pieces left at the moment. So I need to ship them out. So unless you're a fan of neck, so I was gonna make a smoked neck, but I'm not sure. I need to check with my sheikh whether that's possible. So
It is actually the smoke neck's very, very nice, but you need a very long smoke. You're looking at like a 6-hour smoke or something. It'll just come off the bone. And if you put it in, if you smoke it initially and then put it into like a pot with a little bit of water or a little bit of chicken stock, whatever, and just slowly cook it, it will just break down so well. So nice.
So this is one of the things that I'm gonna try after Eid, a couple of weeks after Eid. So I'm gonna smoke a brisket, right? But I'm gonna smoke it for 4 hours in my barbecue, and I'm gonna stick it in the oven.
Sous vide.
No sous vide. I'm gonna smoke it for 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours in the barbecue. I'm gonna wrap it in parchment paper, and I'm gonna butcher's paper, and I'm gonna stick it in the oven. And I've learned this from a brother in Indonesia, whose name is Lutfi. So brother Lutfi said that this is a way that can be done. So I'm gonna try that, see if it works.
No, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But smoke all the way. What's the point? If you're using a smoker, it's gonna go. If you're gonna use your smoker, bag of coal, it's gonna go easily for like 6 hours. Yeah, so it makes no difference.
Ain't nobody got time for we don't all have a 4,000 pound temperature probe to it's not that expensive, but it is a good one. So he was mentioning that, so I thought that would be Usman's finally thought to say, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. So I think that I'm gonna be trying that in a few weeks' time, man. I think I might invite over Mufti Saba on that one.
Allah, dua, all that time doing zikr and dua day.
I think I'm gonna invite Mufti Saba over because I want to try that brisket, but I've got like a couple coming next week as well, so I'll see what they come out like.
I would say, Usman's Qurbani, because it comes in, some people say that I can get cheaper somewhere else, but in terms of what you're getting, what you're getting is proper. And not just that, the service you get with every vacuum sealed. Mustafa came today vacuum sealed, yeah? It came in that bag. Now, if that goes straight in the freezer, that can stay without deterioration 6 months, 8 months, indefinitely. I've actually fed bloggers steaks on my freezer that were about 1.5 years old, and they didn't even know. They did not know.
Did they know the next day?
Now they do.
Because the thing, and the sad thing was, even Usman was there as well, but he didn't. right? Because when you suck out all the oxygen, then that piece of meat cannot go bad because it's the oxygen that reacts with the fat, especially fatty pieces of meat. So Hilfan Finest, the actual intramuscular fat is very, very it's very pronounced. So because of that, the quality. So when you cook it, that's why it makes it really nice and moist. It maintains that lovely, the soft texture. If you don't vacuum seal that and put it in a fridge, within a month you'll start the fat will start oxidizing, and then you get those gamey, nasty flavors. Yeah, but because everything comes vacuum sealed, and if you put it straight in your freezer, I've still got last year's Qurbani. We do a beef Qurbani. I've been in Angus. Yeah. I've still got some steaks, and I'm going to be finishing off on before we pick up our next Qurbani. So the fact is that they're kind of indefinite, and you're not paying so much extra. So for example, last year I think my cousin paid 200 or something. I think this year's gone up because the price has gone up 220. Was it Usman now 220? 240?
For Qurbani?
Yeah.
It's 215 this year.
215, yeah. So last year was 200, right? Everybody else was paying 180. And when you get the Qurbani, they'll give it in a box, as in a box, like
crate.
These the box you get, the crate you get from Costco, yeah. You know what I'm talking about, yeah. Just give it.
No. Yeah.
No.
The Midlands. I'm talking about the Sunblessed crate.
Oh right, yeah. right. Now, I remember my brother. He had, mashallah, after many years, he was married, and I think after 8 years, he had a baby girl, and he was so happy. And he said to me, "Yahya, sort out Akika from Hilfan Finest." And I said, okay, no problem. I rang Usman. I go, we need this much. So Usman sacrificed, I think it was five lambs we did. 5, even though one is thing, yeah? That's probably that, yeah? I think, I don't know. Anyway, right? But we did 5. And I said to Usman, just give me, because I'm going to give it to somebody to cook nangosh, yeah? It's cooked nangosh. I don't know if you've ever had it mixed up, yeah? Just give it to me in 5 boxes. Don't need to label anything. Don't need to vacuum seal anything because it's really cool. Give it. When it came, I opened the box. I go, Usman, yeah, man. Every single lamb was in its own box, and every single piece, all the chops were in one vacuum sealed, all the ribs were in one vacuum sealed, the shoulder was in one vacuum sealed. I go, Usman, what you done? I just want to give this, man. They're gonna get. He goes, look, the farmers and the butchers at the farm, this is like their children, like the Ibrahim alayhi salam, and essence of the qurbani is that you go and sacrifice, your own son. So if not, what you do back at home is buy an animal and then you feed it, and then you get that attachment, and then it's time for you to qurban to show that what you are doing the same that Ibrahim alayhi salam did. So for the butchers and the people on the farm, they say, you can't just put it in a box there, that they had that piyam muhabbat because these animals were something living in us. Piyam muhabbat and love behind it. And he said that my butchers will not just put it in one box. It's like their children. They want to give it a right send off, right? So they butchered it in such a lovely way and they put it in there as a tea, inshallah. So then I gave it to the woman, and the woman was actually shocked. The woman that cooked an angosh for us, she was like, wow. And I had to tell her, this is not normal lamb. This is pure farm lamb. Overcook it. I do not want keema. I want naan gosh. Okay? So make sure. And she goes, man, it cooks so much faster than the normal stuff. I said, alhamdulillah. Yeah, that's what it is. Usman, I think, came and ate that as well, didn't you, Usman?
I did eat that. I really enjoyed that akika, mashallah. It was lovely. It was lovely. That was spicy, a bit spicy for me, but very tasty.
Gujarati.
Proper hardcore naan gosh. Yeah.
It was hardcore. And after I had to make my own naan gosh recipe after that, innit? So, okay, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Now, I think we've come to a normal impasse now. Mufti Sahib, to close up, Jazakallah khair to Brother Uthman and to Yahya as well today. Uthman will put some your details down in the comments, inshallah, so that people have them. Yahya, unfortunately, you wore the wrong top today, but we'll let you off because your team won. As long as you don't do any reminders about Liverpool tomorrow, we're all right.
Listen, have you heard the Urdu "You Never Walk Alone"? You must have, innit? I can't remember. My brother does it. I can't do it. I'm not on WhatsApp. Somebody goes to me today. He goes, you're wearing the wrong top. Make sure you do ghusl. So I said to him, Uthman, you like this? I said to him, how many times do you want me to do ghusl? 6 times or 19 times? Uthman, do you get that? Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've all got that. I was going to say that it would have been your first ghusl in 30 years, but that would have been another joke.
I think we should leave it there now, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, guys. Brother Uthman, Jazakallah khair.
What's up? Nice to see you.
And Yahya, Jazakallah khair. I'm always looking at your food, and I'm always thinking, which filter has he used? Yeah.
No filters. I'll tell you one thing, yeah. This weekend, I am doing something called a butter burger. Okay. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, right? But I'm teaching on this, yeah. That I don't cook on the day that I post. And I've explained this before. Firstly, you won't enjoy your food. And secondly, I get a lot of ain. I get a little another, yeah? Because people just think people go mad, right? So I've cooked something called a butter burger. So it's a burger stuffed with butter. Pure from fineness, of course. Okay. Oh my word. It is something else. It is something else. So you need to look forward to that. And there's no filters on there. Okay, Mufti? No filters. Okay. Only filters only for selfies to get rid of this white stuff. But that'll be, when I get back to London, inshallah.
I'm looking up. I googled Butterburger straight away as soon as you said it. I was thinking, let me see what this looks like, man. But I'm not getting a good picture up, so I'm going to have to wait.
Is it a burger with some extra? but down there.
Mufti, I've sent Uthman the picture.
It's
And,
worth the wait. It's worth the wait, brothers. It's worth the wait.
You're not going to get anything like this ever, okay? And then I'm going to get a lot of grief for this on our WhatsApp group, but khair, influencers.
So we're on this WhatsApp group, Mufti Saab, that has like about 100, 150, 200 guys, right, that just love barbecuing, right? So if you go to the bathroom and leave your phone downstairs and you come back to your phone, you will have 400 messages on there.
Whoa.
You can have your WhatsApp open and look that way and look back, and you've got like, you missed 7 conversations.
Allah Akbar.
But the thing is that they'll love me on that group, so.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, guys.
Everybody loves
viewers-
tomahawks.
Yes.
Anyway, Jazakallah khair, guys.
So the viewers, if you guys want any more details, inshallah, you can contact. I'll leave the details, inshallah, in the description, and we'll see you guys next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa
Wa
barakatuh.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're off live stream.
Assalamu alaikum.